What's up, everybody? It's your man right here, the one and only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster, one of the original road warlords, and as always, bringing you the knowledge and dropping the science in this industry of what we call trucking. I'm doing this particular video to do a follow-up on the Eaton Fuller 13-speed transmission for guys that may be having particular issues with the splitter side. And when I say the splitter side, I'm talking about this red switch here. When you use the red switch, it doesn't go in, it doesn't shift into the high side of your gears. Okay, if you're having a problem with this, then it comes from two issues. And so what I have here is the two parts that you will be having the issues with. So this part right here is called a splitter valve. Both of these parts here are very inexpensive, but again, this is where you want to start it with your splitter valve. So as you can see here, this goes on the lower left-hand side of your transmission. I'll show you once we go under the truck, but this is what the part looks like. As you can see, it doesn't have a part number that's up there, so we'll get the part number right off the box here, which is FUL K3331. They're sold in most dealerships, but that's the part number that you're going to need. And so this is the first part that failed. And so what happens is that when you go into the high side, when you split it to go into this side, you go into the high side, you hear an air leak. You hear air leak and stuff. And so what the air is going to be coming from, it's going to be coming from this valve right here on top. And what happens is that you got some kind of clog. You got some kind of clog and stuff inside of your air system. And so as you flip it over, you can see here what the problem was. And so one of the big reasons for your splitter to fail is because you got water. You got water inside of your air system. And so when you don't dump your that water out of your tanks, what happens is that it circulates through your air system. And when it circulates through the air system, this is what happens. So you see where it's all gunked up, it's all gunked up and stuff like that. And so what happens over time is that you have a bunch of springs and valves that are inside here. And so once the water gets into it, and then the winter takes a hold of it, it freezes up, and then it's not working properly. And so what was happening with my transmission was that when I went on the high side, it had a delayed reaction. It was very delayed and stuff, and then eventually it just wound up failing altogether. And so this is one of the parts that I had to replace here, and again, it's called the splitter valve. Okay, it's called the splitter valve. If you change this splitter valve here, then this is the other part that you're going to also need changed too and stuff. This part here, it has a filter that's inside of it, and as you can see, when you look in here and stuff, you still got the same kind of issue going on, right? That water gets in there. When that water gets in there and stuff, and start mixing up, you get kind of like this, you kind of get this brown stuff that's in, you get that brown stuff, and it clogs up your air system, and eventually winds up failing once it dries up. So all this came from in the summertime by not draining my, by not getting the water out of my tanks. And these are the parts and stuff that fail. So if these parts fail, you will not be able to go into the high side when you go, when you try to do your split and go into your high side, it won't go in there, or it'll have a delayed reaction and stuff. But again, these are the two parts right here that you're going to need changed. Here's the part number there. And so I'm going to go under the truck to show you exactly where the parts are at, so that again, if you run into this issue, that you don't have to go and purchase you a transmission, so to speak. we're doing a process of elimination. These two parts are they're very inexpensive, and you can actually change them yourself, you know, if you have the tools and stuff available. And so as we get under the truck here, okay, let me just sit up right quick. There's the first part right there. There's the first part right there. That's your splitter valve. Okay, that's the splitter valve. That's what needs to be changed right there. It'll be on the lower left-hand side of the transmission. How you know it's failing, or if it's failed, when you go into the high side, again, that valve on top will begin to leak air. If it leaks air, then that's how you know you got a problem. That's how you know you got a problem and stuff with your splitter. Okay, and the other part is right here. That's the valve. That's your valve right there and stuff. So these were the two parts and stuff that got changed. It sits on the top. It sits on the top portion of the transmission. These two parts, again, are fairly inexpensive. This first one here was $66. This one right here was $80. That was $105. So these are the two parts that you definitely need to get changed. Again, if you are having issue going into the high side, if you're going into the high side and you're trying to split your gears. Again, these parts failed because I failed to get the water out of my tanks. And so what happens is that the water begins to circulate through your air system, and that's when you start to have a bunch of problems. As you can see right here and stuff, I changed this valve to where I used to have the drawstring one and stuff, but this one right here works a heck of a lot more better in getting air out of my system. So, you know, definitely drain your tanks daily. Don't depend on your air dryer to do it all. Make sure that you drain your tanks daily to get all the condensation out of there, because the condensation, once it builds up in the tank, you can have this whole thing filled up full of water, and because of that, it will circulate through your air system. And as you can see, we're in the winter season now, where things begin to freeze up, and again, that air mixes in with the water. It mixes in with the water, and this is where you have failure and stuff that's in there, because the springs, filters, and stuff will begin to freeze up, and that's where your issues will come from. So again, very important to drain your tanks daily, especially on these Freightliner Cascadias. Very important. But this is the primary tank that you need to dump your area. Make sure that you dump your tanks and stuff. This is the third tank on the right hand side of the truck. So again, I hope this information was helpful. And this is dealing with the 13-speed Eaton Fuller transmission. If you're having issues with the splitter side, it means that you hit the breathe selector and you're now on the high side of your gears, and you begin to split. If your gears are not splitting once you hit that red switch. This concludes my video. It's your man, as always, the one and only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster, telling you as always, continue your own research, fact-finding studies, and also your skills every day. Until next time we talk, this channel, be safe, be easy.